All right, everybody, welcome back to the Love and Truth podcast where we explore all things relationship. Listen, we are excited about this show today, this episode. We've got some incredible guests. We're going to we're going to talk about today um, this topic from conflict to connection,
Yep.
how we fight fair and love deep. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Listen, you don't want to miss it. Stay here for the whole show. We're about to get into it, but first, I want to introduce our guests, and so um, we're just really excited about
We
having
are.
our first
What?
couple on the
This is our
show.
Oh, the
first
first? All right.
couple.
Yeah,
All right.
first
All right.
couple on the
Yes.
show. We're excited. Chris and Jaie Williams, the Williams.
Yes.
This is
Williams.
Williams.
Yes.
Williams. This is.
Yes.
Here.
Is it William or Williams?
Williams.
Williams.
Okay. Okay.
Williams.
But let's do this right because we got to talk about this wonderful couple, and we appreciate y'all coming in. I know you're just getting off the road. We're gonna get into
Yeah.
all of that, but
Yeah.
we appreciate y'all coming in to do the show with us. And again,
Pleasure.
we're
Our
excited
pleasure,
about
for sure.
it's just awesome. So Jay,
Yes.
um, host,
Yes.
moderator,
Yes.
author,
Yes.
entrepreneur.
Yes.
You do your own thing with the Jay Williams
I
Experience.
do.
Yes.
We were looking at several of the episodes last night, interviewing just all these great people in Houston, and we'll talk a little bit more about kind of your profession and all of that. But
Sure.
also owner of All Made Up, clearly. Yes,
Clearly.
yeah.
Clearly.
No, thank
Face
you.
beat.
Listen.
Thank
And
you.
I don't even think she needs it. I'm sorry. I know you.
Yeah, no, go
I
ahead.
just I
You're great.
gotta talk about my sister though, because she looks like she looks. You know how people say they probably don't look like they
Right.
look. No, in real life she looks like
That's what she
Oh,
looks
you're
like.
so sweet. Thank
Yes.
you.
Listen,
Thank you.
but makeup artists for in film, stage plays, celebrity events.
Yeah.
We've seen the work that you're
Mhm.
doing, and you had some faces on that real beat.
Thank
And you've been doing this for
Thank you.
decades,
Yeah.
a couple of decades,
Yeah.
maybe more than one,
Yeah.
couple of decades, but also just involved in humanitarian efforts, American Lung Association, Heart Association, and more. Black Excellence Award winner. I can see it.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Um,
see it.
Thank you.
and then listen, you got my man Chris. I was messing with my wife earlier today because this big C wheel over here.
That's
So
right.
Yes, come on,
And I
Big
don't
C
even know.
Will.
I don't even know how that
Yeah,
how
y'all
that
don't-
came about.
I want to know.
I was just.
Look, I
I don't even know.
Inquiring minds want to know, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Inquiring minds want to know.
but definitely with the Air Force,
Air Force.
Air Force
Okay.
vet. So
Yeah.
thank you for your service. How long were you in
Yes.
the military?
6 years.
6 years.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
definitely
Special
appreciate
forces.
special for.
Special for
So, okay.
Mhm.
Chris say
Yeah, I
stop.
don't-
Hey,
That's
stop
why.
playing.
That's why your handle is what it is.
Yeah.
Y'all better stop playing with Chris.
Okay.
Big C wheel over here, man. Not playing with y'all, special forces. But y'all just celebrated 19 years in December, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
19
Okay,
years married.
congratulations.
You gotta
19
clap
years
for that.
married.
Yes, that's
Thank
great.
you.
You have one daughter? You have a daughter,
So
son?
we have a son and a daughter.
Son and a
Okay.
daughter.
We have a grandson and a bonus grandson and one on the way. Actually.
Yep.
Okay, because we see the grandson. We
Well,
see
you see
we see the grand.
Yes, we
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah.
Our whole heart in human form.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, little man gets all the action.
He
He
gets
just
everything.
everything, man.
Mhm.
So that's a beautiful thing to
His
spend
word.
time with
His
the
word.
grand. So, but father, grandson, I mean grandfather, and just when we talk about you enjoy life, travel, and all those types of things. But we'll get into more of that. But
Okay.
quick intro,
Yes.
the Williams, and so we're excited to have you guys on the show.
Thank you.
Okay,
We're
so
excited.
baby, anything, baby?
Yes,
That's it?
yes. First of all, my husband already stated, but we appreciate and thank you for your service.
Oh,
You know,
thank you.
we
Yes,
we
thank you.
absolutely don't want to skim over that. And ma'am, for you,
Yes.
because you're a woman of many hats and you
Yeah.
have a lot of accolades. And I have one question.
Yes.
Out of everything you've done,
hmm
what is it that's really near and dear to your heart where you're like, I am proud of myself about this one?
Ooh, I don't know if there's just one, to be honest, because there's a story behind why I stay so busy. But if I had to choose one thing, it would be just the philanthropy part of it. I love giving back. I love
Yeah.
um giving. I mean, giving is just something that's very near and dear to me, just
Okay.
in general, in all aspects. Whether it's like with you, what you were saying, James, the American Lung Association,
Mhm.
because my dad passed of lung cancer recently.
Mm.
And then there is BETA, which is
Mm.
vestibular aqueduct disorder. It's a hearing loss um disorder that my son has.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so then there's that. So there's always something, and it's not just about what is going on in my life, but just to help other people. Like I love
Yeah.
giving. That's just my thing. So,
Mhm.
and my show is actually built around that as well. But we can talk about
Okay.
that when you're ready.
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
because
that's
we're gonna talk
we're gonna
about it.
talk
We're
about
gonna
it.
Okay.
talk about it.
Okay.
We're definitely gonna get
Yeah,
into that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
cool. So let me do this, right? So, our podcast is about just relationships. I mean,
Yeah.
we purpose to demonstrate, model how do you create a safe space
Okay.
in a relationship? How do you resolve conflict? And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
Um, and so this episode is about just healing through just kind of communication,
Mm-hmm.
right? How do you work through
Ooh.
those hard conversations,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, as a couple. In the 19 years, I'm sure there's been some hard conversations.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
all kinds of stuff.
yeah, all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah,
Listen.
yeah.
So, well, here's a quote: "A strong relationship requires choosing to love each other, even in those moments when you struggle to like each other." Right?
Yeah.
And so that's so. What does that mean? Like when you hear that, how does that resonate?
I mean, I think for me, I understand that you can love anybody, but you don't like everybody. And even in marriage, to me, I mean, I adore my husband. And of course, when we met, I was head over heels. He was so fine, you know. And he was so good with my children and just an amazing person.
Mhm.
But then, you grow and you evolve and
Mhm.
life happens and
Mhm.
the love is still there. But you may not like, I don't know, sometimes it's like, the cuteness it kind of wears off.
Yeah.
The warm and fuzzies go
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
however, one thing that I mean, Chris and I have been to marriage counseling. We've done a lot of things. We've been through so many chapters already in
Right.
19 years of marriage. And
Mhm.
as a result of that, um, we have learned to communicate.
Mm.
Yeah.
We're not perfect now. We're still under construction.
Right. Right. Right.
However, taking the time to just acknowledge when the other's feeling away and all that, that's something that is very near and dear to us.
Yeah.
And I think that we do pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely something that takes time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if somebody sits there and lie to you and say, "Hey, yeah, everything's perfect over here,"
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a big time.
And I don't even want to talk to you.
No, you don't. You
But
don't
it's
because
a
those are people that nine
Right.
times out of 10 they're not gonna make it.
real.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chris
Yeah.
not gonna
said, you
make
know
it.
what? 9 times out of
Yeah,
10, the way that
yeah,
you talking right now, you're
yeah.
not gonna make it.
No,
Yeah.
And this is the truth.
Yeah.
no.
Go ahead, babe.
Oh no, no. I'm really appreciating, and let me say this because this is Love and Truth podcast.
Right.
People get what they get from us, and I really love the energy because now it's like, no, these are some real people,
Yeah.
and they're bringing the real
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because people don't want the fake anymore.
no.
They get to
I
see
don't.
that on social media.
Yeah,
Right.
You
yeah,
see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
for sure.
People like, where are some people that connect and vibe with me? Because
Yeah.
my stuff is messed up over here.
hmm
And how do I get through this?
Right.
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I get
So
it.
having said that, um, how do you guys normally handle conflict?
It in the beginning, it used to be just a slugfest. We both just
Right.
going at each other, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But now it's more so you have to listen. You have to listen to each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you hear I always say you hear what I'm saying, but are you listening?
Right.
There's a difference.
Listening to
Yeah.
me,
Mm-hmm.
because most people are that they just want you to get whatever you have to out so that they can be able to speak,
Right.
so they can get their
That's
turn
real.
to speak.
Oh.
But no, you have to actually listen to them and let it soak in before you speak. I always have a term. She used to get mad at me early on in our marriage because I used to stay quiet. I used to sit
And I'm
there
a talker.
quiet and she'd just going,
Mhm.
and I'm quiet. And then I won't say
Right.
anything. I won't say nothing. And I'll come back, later. I might walk out the room and there's something which she'd never liked.
Right.
But I won't
That's
say anything. But when I do talk, I've already thought about what I'm gonna say,
mm,
before I say it, because I don't never want to say something that I don't mean
right.
and that I'll regret. So,
Right.
now, we just kind of like talk freely. We get a little spicy now, but
Yeah.
it's more of a conversation than arguments now.
Right.
Yeah.
But I
Right.
guess because we've been through so much,
Right.
been through everything. So it's like
Yeah.
ain't no need in arguing and fussing at each other. We ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
So
That part.
Right.
what we fussing for,
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely it takes time,
Hmm.
and you have to want to put in the work.
Yeah.
It's not something that you just say, oh, this just not gonna work out. No, well, you're not supposed to be together anyway.
Right.
If you just want to give it up that easy, you have to
Yeah.
work. You have to work
Yeah.
hard at it.
That's real.
Yeah.
So that's good. Before I ask the next question, would you like to expound on
I would
hand
actually.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
Please
I
please and
Would-
thank you.
Yeah.
Please and thank
well
you.
Yeah.
because I'm a communicator. You know what I mean? And so for me, with regards to conflict and I just think that it's important. And obviously something that happened changed over time because
Yeah.
like Chris said, in the early days, oh, it would be on. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, there was no idea of, well, this is not gonna work for me. Sometimes conflict and arguments happen
Right.
to the point where you can't get back. I
Yeah.
think I was married
Yes.
before Chris. And I know what that's like. I was younger too. You know what I
Right.
mean? But when you
Right.
get older, you know better, right? Or at
Correct.
least
Right.
that's what they say.
That's yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
But and also understanding your partner, for me, it's sometimes I need to just step away.
Mhm.
Sometimes I just need my space and then let me come back.
Right.
It's important to me that he acknowledges if I say, okay, I have a problem, we need to talk. First of all, let me just say that is not it for him. If I say, hey, we need to talk about something, it's like the shield
No.
comes over, like, oh shoot,
Lord.
what is she coming? What's happening? What is she saying? What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And
Let
Yeah.
me use the restroom.
yeah, yeah. But then, and I'm learning still, even after 19 years of marriage, that is a trigger for him.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I
Oh,
don't
that's
want
good.
to.
I love that.
I want to acknowledge that I love him. You know what I mean? I want him to be
Yeah.
happy, and I know we're not gonna be happy all the time, and I
Mhm.
Yeah.
know we're not gonna see eye to eye, and is what makes us so great together. I think, but just understanding that it's gonna happen, but being understanding each other to the point, like I said, if I need to step away, let me step away. Give me a moment.
Uh-huh.
I'd rather not argue. That's not fun. You know what I mean? But once I cool off, let's sit down, let's have a conversation. So
Mhm.
that's how it works for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And you also over time you got to learn to love each other enough to where even in conflict, even if you just like totally pissed off, that you recognize their triggers still,
Yeah.
Mm.
so that you won't go there. You
Right.
won't do anything to
Yeah.
push them over, because
Yeah.
you can get your point across
Mm-hmm.
without triggering them. And it's gonna annoy them and piss them off, but but you still hot and heated, but you love them so much that you recognize that above your anger.
But that's it. And I'm gonna let you
Good.
pivot here
Yeah.
because we're gonna a little bit later, and then another segment. We're gonna talk about rules of engagement,
Okay.
right? How you go about doing that. But you had one more question. The
Yeah.
second one, yeah.
So now after the you guys have given us the conflict, how you handle that
Hmm.
in this day and time of the relationship, would you guys say that you're more confrontational or avoidant type person?
um
We both are like,
it's kind of like to me it's like a mixture of two, because if you avoid it, then nothing will ever get
Mm-hmm.
resolved.
Resolve, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you confrontational with it, you get it out. So I
Right.
think we more on the more on
Mm-hmm.
the confrontation side, because we got to get it out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
You,
yeah, I
you
agree.
avoiding it, it's not gonna be a good thing.
We've
Yeah.
been down that road.
Yeah,
It does not
Yeah.
work.
yeah.
So I want to interject this. Most of the time, people think that confrontation is a bad word.
Right.
That is not a bad word.
No.
Confrontation gets resolved.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's basically what I'm hearing you guys say, because to avoid anything means that now there's no peace.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's none.
Right.
We just quiet. We're not saying anything. We both feel the energy, but we're not talking.
Yeah.
And
So
people do think that confrontation means arguing.
they
Yeah. It
do.
does not.
And
And
it
it's
doesn't
not.
mean that.
It doesn't. And that's a level of maturity though, in and of itself. Right.
Yeah.
Period.
So
Oh, yeah.
anyway.
Yes. Period. So, did you guys grow up seeing healthy models? Um, just in your childhood, were you able to see a couple that displayed this for you to know how to handle it in your marriage?
You
Oh,
want to go
I'm going
first?
first.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't see it
Hmm.
uh anywhere. I had aunts and uncles that, you know, their relationships were not good.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Toxic.
yeah, just straight toxic, toxic. You know, I was raised by a single mother, so I never saw my father. I've never met my father. I actually this year I've tracked him down, but he's already passed.
Oh
But
wow.
I
Okay.
did manage to find
Find
him.
him.
You know,
Yes.
so I might have brothers and sisters out there,
Yes.
you know, which
Wow.
will handle all of that business later at a later
Yeah.
date. But yeah, all of my friends, single mothers,
Mm.
you know, were raised by single parents. You know, so I never saw. It wasn't until I started going to church to Braeswood Assembly of God on the southwest side.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is when I saw my youth pastor, Pastor Steve Banning. Uh, Him and his wife were
Right.
married, and I don't know the things behind it, but they adopted a son,
Mm-hmm.
and but you wouldn't tell he was adopted and or nothing like that.
Yeah.
But that was the first real model of a healthy relationship that I ever saw.
Oh wow.
You know, and you know it kind of stuck in my head.
Yeah.
You know, but I did have the thing that saved my life was my grandfather.
Okay.
My grandfather was like that was everything.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
he raised me. Him and my grandmother were separated also. They wasn't together.
Mm-hmm.
But he taught me how to be a good person. You know, how
Mhm.
to have empathy, have sympathy for people, empathy, just how to be a good person.
Yeah.
And you know, it just carried on. I tried my best to you know to just carry that on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
Okay.
So my parents were married for 53 years before my dad passed.
Oh
It's
wow.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Polar opposites.
That's so
Yeah.
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Now, I saw a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but my parents, I mean, one thing I know for sure is that they loved each other.
Mm-hmm.
They were together. They went through a lot together and they
Mm-hmm.
stuck it out. And that
Mm-hmm.
showed me a lot. I tried to model my life after what I thought what a wife is supposed to be by watching my mom. I learned a lot of things that were just old school,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to pivot. But for the most part, yeah, I saw my parents. And then my mother is one of seven girls,
Oh wow.
women, and the majority of them were married or are married.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then my granny and my papa and my dad's mother and my dad's stepfather were married. So I saw that all, it was completely different.
Totally
Yeah.
opposite.
Yeah, totally opposite.
I loved it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is what I'm talking about right here. But let's talk
Yes.
about the real because when this is a good piece right here because we wrote this journal. We're gonna give y'all a copy
Mhm.
of this Love and Truth journal.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
And so this journal we put together,
Hmm.
we've been together for 6 years, married for 3.
All right.
And listen, coming out of both previously being married,
Yeah.
Hmm.
um, you know, going through divorces and just me dating and just all there was a lot of stuff to unpack,
Yeah.
right? So you got to, going through counseling and doing those types of things. But one of the things that we deal with in here is, and I'm gonna segue into this, but it's about creating a safe space,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
And just, what does that look like? And I'm gonna ask a question in a minute, but then also dealing with childhood um, traumas,
Hmm.
family dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Like you got to know all this stuff when you're
Oh
getting
yeah.
with someone.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
Oh
do.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what did you see growing up? What
Yeah.
was a family dynamic?
Yeah.
Was it a single parent household?
Hmm.
Was the father absent? Not you got to know all of that because you don't know because you said it earlier. Triggers. You don't know what might trigger.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of get them into that. It's a prompting journal and it just poses questions,
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
right? And so I'm going to pivot to that because I want to come back to this other question because I want to talk about major conflicts that you guys have overcome. But we know that every couple's fight.
Hmm.
I mean, everybody has arguments, right?
Yes.
Um, but not everybody fight fair.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so this is what we're talking about. Yeah, we can have confrontation, but it's not the confrontation that's the problem. It's how you do it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So let's talk about boundaries, respect, and strategy.
Okay.
And one of the first questions in the journal, maybe you can just flip that. page that
Sure,
right there, just
sure,
to be my little
sure.
Vanna Black.
I will.
Bad flag.
Yeah,
You.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So the first question in the journal is, go ahead and read.
Well,
You can jump over. You can
that's
win.
not,
You don't
and
win.
I should know it.
You, s-
You know, I'm
you
just
don't.
looking. I don't know what's going
My
on
baby
right
over here
now.
just
I
come here,
don't
baby.
know. I don't know what
Baby, you
I'm
got your
doing.
glasses on.
I do, but it ain't the right
That
glasses.
is,
This
but what are you doing?
no, this
My
is
baby,
not the question because the
baby, hold
question.
on, baby. Wait a minute. My baby's.
So I know what the question is.
No, listen.
But I know what the question is.
The
Like
answer question, baby.
how do you create a safe space? That's what it is. I
So
couldn't find it. I couldn't find
it's
it.
just
It's
on the,
okay.
it's on page number it's on that page. But
But that's the question.
what is a safe space? Here's a specific question.
Okay.
What does a safe space in your relationship mean to you? And how do you create that together? So
So that wasn't the question then, because that was a totally different question that you asked.
yeah,
But it's okay.
no, but what does a safe space look like in a relationship? And we'll give you an example. For us, we created our balcony talk. This is kind of whole premise behind our podcast.
Yep.
In those early years when we were dating, there were a lot of things that we had to talk about, and we would go out. This COVID had happened,
Okay.
and we were landlocked. We couldn't go anywhere. So
Yeah.
the only place we went was on our balcony on a high rise, right? And so we started having these conversations, and she was asking a whole bunch of
I know
questions,
she was. I blame
a whole bunch of questions.
her.
And it's funny because
That's
one of our
weird.
last episodes, I was saying, no, I didn't want to tell you anything, but I had to,
Yeah.
right? And so I said, if we're going to go out on the balcony and have these conversations, here are the rules, right? I need a safe space to be able to communicate
Right.
and to share without fear of retribution, without it being weaponized, without, listen, we go out on this balcony and talk, this ain't coming back in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
So when we say, hey, can we have some balcony talk? Because I wanted to bring that back to trigger, like, can we talk? So our conversation started as, hey, can we have some I know if she says that or if I say it,
Yeah.
we're about to have a real conversation about something.
Yeah.
And we already know, hey, don't get in your feelings.
Yeah.
You may not like what I'm about to
Right.
bring up.
Yeah.
It may not feel good, but we've already cultivated a safe space for us to be able to share that.
Yeah.
So and it goes through several other prompting questions about ensuring that we have a safe space, right? And so because we want to fight fair.
Right.
Because if you're fighting for your marriage, it's a fight.
Every day.
But we got to fight fair.
Fight fair. Yeah.
So one of the questions is, what are your fighting rules? Like, what are the things that you say, nah, we ain't doing that. We're not.
Well,
Let's go here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't like to be I don't like to cuss. I don't like
Okay.
the cussing.
Uh-huh.
And we can cuss, but don't cuss. We
At
don't
each
cut
other.
Cuss at me.
at each other. I don't like that. I really don't like the I don't like the tone. I don't like the tone. We can talk, we can have this disagreement without,
Right.
getting just crazy with it.
Mm-hmm.
And uh I like uh it's like I'll listen to you, but I want you to listen to me and don't interrupt me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to interrupt you, but let me talk.
Mm-hmm.
Don't if I say something and you don't like it, but no, let me finish. Because I might be, you might interrupt me before I get to what I'm trying to say.
Right. The point.
And she always get on me. She say, "Oh, sometimes it take you too long to get to your point." But yeah, she's a like this, and I'm a more
Let me
laid
lay it
back.
out.
Yeah. But those are pretty much the rules that I think we have.
Good,
But
baby.
Yeah, that's
she
right.
might
So
This is good.
those are his rules.
Okay.
What are
Those
your
are his
rules?
rules.
Okay.
I am working. I'm a work in progress. I have a
Okay.
therapist. She's working with me.
Okay. Okay.
Because for me,
I love it.
I need to
I
feel
love
safe.
it.
Mm,
Okay. And what I mean by safe is not necessarily I know my husband can save me from a prowler, right? But I need to know that if I have something to say, that you're going to listen to what I'm saying, because I feel like if I have a problem, then we have a problem. Right? So we need to be able to talk about it constructively. I am one who, when I'm getting my point across, I'm getting it across. And then when it's his turn to speak, I am guilty of if he says something that reminds me of something, I'm like, well, wait a minute, you said, wait a minute, I said, I do, I do,
and what do I
it is
do? I'll stop.
he will stop talking,
Mm-hmm.
and that is not okay for me. You know what I mean? So what we've done is we're working on it.
Yeah.
Because I can't guarantee it's gonna always be, because in the heat of the moment, you know, I'm not trying to think about rules. Like, I have something I need to say, and I'm about to get it out, and it is what it is, and we'll be all right. You know what I mean? And that's not.
I like. I love this because this is what a lot of couples can relate to.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
I mean,
real.
that's
No, like
real.
this real life.
Yes,
It's real life.
yes, and it is real life in our
It's
house.
not TV. It's
No,
not
it is
putting
No,
TV. It's not
no.
perfection.
It's
No.
not.
You know,
Oh
it's,
gosh.
it's not a 30-minute show. You know,
Yeah,
Or
it's
or
real life
or
out
on
here.
yeah,
Facebook.
this
It's
real.
not.
It's the
Okay.
real deal.
You know what I'm saying?
You
Because
know.
But you got to say something, because we have very similar. We've had
yes.
very similar. Because what I know men will do, and I'm like this too. Like, you know what? I'm gonna just shut down, and I'm just. You don't want me to stop talking,
Mhm.
right? That's not. You don't want me to just shut
Yeah.
down.
No.
You don't want me to
No.
shut down. If I'm trying to communicate,
Mhm.
it's probably in everybody's best interest that I be able to communicate,
Mhm.
because I know. And it's not me now, but I'm just saying in my past, it's like if I shut down, that means I'm checking out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you
Right.
can't
And that's
really,
most people.
you can't afford for me to
Mhm.
check out because I don't feel like I'm being heard
Mhm.
and respected, or whatever the case may be. So, but go ahead, you wanna add something to that, and
Yeah.
how we work through
How we
that?
navigated through this, and I really, I'm learning to applaud myself more than I have in my life because I've not done that.
Okay.
But I'm proud of us that this is what we did. Balcony talk, we cultivated obviously the safe space, but when he's talking,
Mm-hmm.
we have a timer. When that timer's on,
Mm-hmm.
he has the floor. That's it, the mic.
Okay.
I can say absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
This creates a discipline.
I love
And
it.
and the discipline in this, it strengthens the relationship because
Mm-hmm.
now
Mm-hmm.
if you didn't feel heard, now you feel heard.
right.
And that is probably one of the best strategies
Mm-hmm.
that we came up with to be able to say this is how we're going to hash out whatever it is we put on the table. Now it just makes us both individually feel like, oh, I was heard.
Yeah.
I had my time.
Yeah.
One of
I
our rules
reclaimed
that
my
we do.
time.
Yeah.
I reclaim my time.
I
Okay,
reclaimed my
I love
Maxine.
time.
Okay,
that.
See,
Maxine.
that comes with maturity
Yeah,
also,
it does.
because uh when you're young and dumb and stupid, whatever, and the
Mhm.
person have the timer, you know, a lot of times you just waiting on the timer to
You looking at it.
you're not hearing nothing they
Anything.
say. You
Yes.
just waiting on the timer to
That's
go
true.
off so that you can
Mhm.
get your point
Mhm.
across.
Yeah.
You know, but being, you know, going through marriage before, you know,
Mhm.
like you said, both of you been married, both of us been married before.
Mm-hmm.
Going through that and being mature, we can actually, you know, take a rule like that and actually apply it, because we can sit there and listen, and then, you know, when the bell go off, then we can go ahead and
Okay,
Right.
okay.
So,
Hold
Right.
on.
off and go.
Go ahead, Jay. I'm
so I
sorry.
have
Go
a
ahead.
question. So, in the heat of an argument, or just during a discussion? Because in the heat of an argument, obviously you're not thinking about the timer, but that's when it's a challenge for if I'm having my moment, I'm saying what I'm saying, and then he chimes in, or I chime in while he's trying to. You know what I mean? So, is it just during a discussion, right? It's just during like those heavy
I
conversations,
think
or
what they saying
This
is, like, before they even get to the point of an argument, they
so it is
before it
just
even
during
get
a
to that
discussion?
point,
Right.
they say, "Hey, let's go out and have this balcony talk."
Okay,
so
okay,
and
okay,
so and
That's
this
part of it.
and
Yeah.
and
okay,
and you know what? Thank you for grabbing it because that's what we do.
okay.
We don't allow ourselves to just go off like that
Mm-hmm.
because I okay, just real quick, and I'm really
You
glad we're on
you
this.
gonna give an
But
example, the story? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well,
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna give them a story, but I'm just gonna say this. I was with my high school sweetheart. We were together. It's like 32 years,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well,
Mm-hmm.
It's so
still
much
your
that
high
I
school sweetheart? What are you saying?
no. I said I was married to my high school sweetheart.
talking
I'm
about?
just trying to give. I'm just trying to give
Go ahead.
my husband. Y'all, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be so
Yeah, bro.
serious. I'm trying to be serious. But he was my high school sweetheart at the time.
Yeah,
So all I'm
was.
saying, it was.
Okay.
It was a long.
As long as we clear.
Yeah,
We
was. You
clear.
better put that was in there.
Was.
Not
Okay. 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 Okay, baby. I'm sorry. But was. So all I'm saying is because of that time, because I heard you say something, we fumble and we don't know what we're doing, right? I'm making a point about that to say I didn't want to come in this relationship and we're just arguing and we're not sitting down to actually discuss something, right? Because I already, the arguing before and we didn't really argue like that. It was more avoidant.
Okay.
So that means nothing happened. That's why divorces happen, right?
Sure.
But I really appreciate. I'm trying to bring it back full circle. My husband and that kind of messed my head up because he don't went somewhere. But anyway, but full circle, we make sure that we don't blow up. That's the point. If it gets to that, it means okay, we haven't resolved some things in some areas that we just blow up about stuff, right?
Something else
Triggers.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and to be clear, we still have had blow up moments, but they're very few and far between. Right.
I was drinking.
And I was about to say, I wasn't even bring it up. You brought it up.
Yeah, because
You
we
brought
need
it
to.
up.
I need to be clear why the blow ups happen.
Listen, normally there was some tequila involved, and then I gotta,
Oh
I'm
my
dealing
God.
with all
Don't get him
It's
started.
not. It's
all
not
of this.
lately.
Okay, so cool. Check this out. So, but I think y'all laid it out right.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: disagreements should not become disrespectful in a
Correct.
marriage.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things that you just because you said it earlier, tone. I remember one time. This is when my wife was a flight attendant, and she's back in town. I don't know what we were talking about, but I'm in the bathroom and I'm shaving, and she was going off about something. And yeah, I'm just I'm pretty normally reserved. I'm talking. I'm like she's just going off. I mean, just going ham about something. I'm like, so yo, what's up with your tone? Because what you're talking about doesn't even matter. What's up with your tone?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about, but that tone, let's deal with that.
And what you actually said after that is you said, and who are you talking to?
Yeah.
That's what you said, right? And Jay, the alpha female that I am, I said, oh, nobody. I said, oh, okay, because you're letting me know you're establishing dominance. You're letting me know, baby, I run this. I can handle it. And I'm like, oh, okay. I just need to know that because women do want to know. We want to know that we can't disrespect you. We need to know I got a real leader here because leaders not gonna let you just handle them.
No.
Right.
They're not gonna do that.
Exactly.
And we got to talk it out. So I want to go back. Chris said something earlier, but just principally, because we're believers, and so because you what you said was be quick to listen, slow to speak. Don't listen. I'm not going to get angry.
Yeah.
About. I'm going to be. Listen. I'm listening.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And I'm going to step away before I say something, because if I say something in the heat of it, it's probably not the best time to really speak.
Right.
Yeah.
So of James 1:19, and then a soft answer turns away wrath. Sometimes it's like, all right, babe, okay. So what else you gonna say if I say, you know what, you're right?
There's nothing else to say. Yeah.
What else you want me to say? You're right.
Yeah.
I was wrong, and I'm not even being facetious. I'm being like dead serious. Like, you know what, you're right. But if you just wanna argue.
Like folks say,
Because some people ain't ready for it. That's all they know.
Yeah.
Anybody got time to try to argue?
Yes, that's what they live in is chaos. And if it's not chaotic, they don't feel normal. It doesn't feel right. It's unfortunate.
So was there ever an argument or disagreement that after that it made the relationship stronger? Can you think of specifically like a conflict? I'm saying argument, but a conflict.
Yeah, it's pretty much all of them. It's seriously, all of them will make it strong because you learn something from every confrontation that you have together. You learn something from it. you know,
Okay.
and that's just the way you got to take it. You
Right.
have to get something from it. If
Right.
you don't get anything from it, then that makes the whole argument, what was it for?
Right.
So it has to be, if I'm going to take this time and this energy, to do it, I might as well learn something from it.
Yeah.
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 So even if we don't sit there and tell each other, well, I learned this from what we talked about there. No, we got it in our head and we know what's going on, and she could tell it in me and I can tell it in her without us saying anything
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you learn something from every argument,
Yeah.
Definitely.
everyone.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
We love each other. So
Yeah.
he knows my heart. I know he is. And like you said, you can just tell by your posture. You can just tell that things are different just by the way
Right.
you move forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And just understanding boundaries with that. I think that I think I agree 100%. I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's a revelation for some people because you said something, and this is that thing. I go back to maturity because that's what you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Some couples do not take away anything that they learn from the first argument because it is the same argument over and over because there's no resolve from that first argument, right? Can I tell
Go.
them
Go ahead.
about?
You can
Okay,
tell them whatever. This is Love and Truth podcast. You can say what you
so
want to say.
there was it's been I'm pretty much like you guys or we learn something from every disagreement that we
Right.
had. But this one time we sat at the table, and this was probably sometime last month, and my husband, there's a trigger for me just to say no to him, right? It, like, he may ask something and I'm like, no. And to him, it's like, but you didn't think about it. But I did. I heard what you said, and I said no. You see what I'm saying? But it's a trigger for him, and so we sat down, and I'm like, babe, what is that thing that if I say no, it just does something in you? And what I said was, I need you to understand what that is, so I can understand,
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
because I don't want to be saying no, and then it's all this Scorpio energy, and I'm like, bro, what's
Yeah.
going deep right now? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
What we found out is that there was one word that we both um have an, and I won't say an issue with, but it's a trigger. We are courteous and
Considerate.
consider
Yeah.
other people's feelings
Mm-hmm.
when sometimes they don't consider ours.
Mm.
So that one word. So we had something that we shared in common
Mm-hmm.
about that one word. And it was crazy, but he was talking, and I start crying, and he's like, but this by me getting upset, now you crying. And I am like, yeah, because you said something and it hit me, but it needed to hit me because oftentimes you need a revelation like that to understand y'all are talking about something, but you're talking about the same thing, and you need a word that attaches to what you're going through so you can both be like, okay,
Yeah.
that word is
Mhm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not us.
And I think what I said specifically was that before I even finished what I was saying, you were like, "No, we're not." I said, "You didn't even consider."
But
No,
baby,
I'm
I
just.
did.
I know, but listen. Here's my perspective. Okay, I'm just telling you.
Jesus.
Yeah, it wasn't. You didn't even consider. That's the way I felt. You didn't even consider what I was saying. Now I'm not coming in. Listen, I can come in and say, "No, this is what we're doing,"
Mhm.
just from a position
Mhm,
standpoint. But I
mhm.
don't do that. I'm saying, "Hey, here's what I'm thinking about." No, like, well, hold on, time out.
But do
What
you
did,
know what's funny about this? And
what's
and
that?
and and I'm glad that we're having this
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
That is his experience and his truth, but I always let him get out what he's saying. But if I say no, obviously in my husband's mind, it's like you didn't hear me out. And I'm like, I can't say no about something I hadn't heard the full
And,
question
and,
of
and
Yeah.
it,
you know
you
what's
Yeah.
know?
you know what's
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
though? It wasn't even anything. It
No,
wasn't even anything
Really?
major. No, it
no,
was
it
not.
was not.
Let me say. Here's what it was. It's simple. You remember what it was?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Here's what it was. This is when we were getting ready to do the Gunny interview,
Okay.
and I said, "Hey, can we push the time
Oh
back to
Yep.
1.
Mhm.
Can you talk? Because this is her friend. Can
Mhm.
you push the time back? No, we can't. I'm like, what? Hold up, hold up, time out.
So it wasn't major. That wasn't
Yeah.
even a major issue.
But what I'm saying is that let's talk it because I was about to text him and say, hey man, push it back an hour,
Yeah.
kind of like we did today. Push it
Yes.
back an hour.
Yes.
But I said, you know what? Let me check with my wife first. So here's the other part of it. I'm being considerate
Right.
and saying, you know what? Before I just go make a change,
Mhm.
because this is her friend, let me check with my wife
Right.
first.
Right.
And so I said, well, hey, can we? No, I'm exaggerating the point right now just for TV. But but it was like a hard no. I said, but you haven't even you didn't even call her to see if it was if she'd
Yeah.
have said no, I can't. I'd have said okay,
Mhm.
but you didn't even check. Turns out she could. So anyway, this is the nothing stuff that we argue about.
Yeah, I get it.
But what we found out was that for me, it was like, hey, you didn't even sound like you considered it.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
always considerate of everybody else.
Mhm.
So to me, and we sitting at the table tight about nothing. Now we talked through it and then she started crying. I'm like, what you crying about? I'm the one that was
No.
flip this around. You cry. But anyway, but I'm sorry, we'll go ahead. But that was it. But we sat at
That
the
was it.
table.
That was
We
it.
sat at the table and talked through
Mhm.
what that was.
Right.
Right. We didn't have time to go walk on the balcony for this one. I'm sitting there eating my
The
taco like
balcony was the table.
and the balcony is a metaphor, like
Yeah.
Sure.
whatever your safe space is. It could
Sure.
be the dining room table, whatever it is. But have a safe space for you to go have real conversations
Yeah.
and say, you know what, hey, let's go to the balcony, let's talk.
Yeah.
Come to the front of the congregation. Let me pray for you.
Mhm.
Go ahead, baby.
Love it. Love it.
Well, this is another question. After you've had a disagreement, how do you come back and connect? Because this is difficult for some people after they've had a disagreement.
It's hard for us sometimes too.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But after we cooled off,
Mm-hmm.
one of us will reach out to the other.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, it'll be me.
Okay.
What?
You
Wait
know
a
I'm
minute.
the apologizer.
Yeah, he's an apologizer.
I'm the apologizer, and you wait on me to apologize because
Not
you know I'm
okay.
coming to apologize.
Because
But
it's usually
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
mhm.
I love
but
trouble.
yeah.
she comes. She'll call
You
me.
hungry? You know
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
yeah,
What you
yeah,
gonna eat? What we eat tonight?
Break
yeah.
the ice. That's how you
You
break
know,
the ice.
you
Okay.
know.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What you want to eat?
What
That's
you want to
funny.
eat? What we gonna eat? You
Mm-hmm.
still going with me? And then
These
blah blah blah.
tacos.
You say you still going with me?
Yeah, you coming right? You still going? We still going? And blah blah blah. You know, because our schedule is like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's crazy.
Right.
And yeah, so and he's like, yeah, I'm coming, of course. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just kind of goes back into, okay, well, cool, and we're
Can
happy
we
again.
pause for a pivot right now? Because I want to, because you mentioned the schedules.
Mm-hmm.
So how do y'all balance that? I mean, all the things that you have going on. So talk a little bit about
There's no balance.
all that you.
I'm
Yeah,
joking.
yeah, I know, right?
It's I'm booking everything, and he comes with me. He supports me.
Yeah,
That's
he's
it. No,
Yeah.
I actually have we have every January 1st or December 31st. I'll go and buy an actual calendar, the 12 months,
Mm-hmm.
to put in our room so that I can see everything.
Yeah.
I'm old school. I still write things down. I still need my paper checklists and all that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll send him calendar invites. But for the most part, I'm always booking everything, whether it's a gala, a party, an event, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, time with our grandson. I mean, there's literally everything on
Wow.
calendar because we have to book everything out because I mean, I have a lot going on between makeup clients and podcasts and just just all kinds of things, appearances and just events and just spending time with family, you know,
Mm-hmm.
both sides. So that's how we do it.
And
There's
all
no,
I do
so I
is
don't know if that's
yeah.
balance. I
All
don't
I
know.
do is to
'Cause,
say where and what
yeah,
time.
what do I need to wear? And he
Yeah,
comes and
I
he
think you
prepares.
find
it for
balance in
me.
management, right? So you're managing the time, right? That's
Mhm.
how you
Pretty
find it.
much,
You
yeah.
plan it out,
The true
Yeah.
home manager.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, she
Mhm.
Go on,
manages.
baby.
I just since we're in this space,
Yeah.
where can people find you online?
So I have a website. It's Jaie Williams. It's JAIE Williams.me.
Okay.
And everything is there. So booking me for my makeup, for to see my podcast, just to connect in general. Yeah, everything
Okay.
is there.
And it's going to be going across the screen. I'm pretty sure as we're
Okay.
talking right now.
Mhm.
However, yeah, I need people to know where to find you because
You.
I definitely looking at you on your podcast, and this, I'm just throwing this in real quick.
Yeah.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
I knew because I've seen you before.
Mhm.
But last night we just kind of went a little bit deeper to see your interviews and
Sure.
just even looking at the pictures of you guys together, just wanting to know more about you guys.
Mhm.
But when I say beautiful, and I really appreciate, Chris, you coming off the road and
Mhm.
coming here, that means a
Of
lot
course.
to us because you could be doing something else, and you guys took your time to come here. So I do want to take this moment to say thank you.
Yes,
Oh,
for
Yeah,
sure.
no, well,
Appreciate
you're
absolutely.
it.
welcome, and it's our pleasure because
We here to support. We
well,
we
yeah,
really want to support positive
yes,
uh things. I was telling her, a while back when she first got on her journey, I was like, this is a perfect time to do what you're doing because uh everybody is gravitating to all this negative. So now
Yeah,
you put some positive out there,
Yeah.
right.
then they'll be like, huh,
yeah.
okay, I'm tired of this. Let me go listen to
Correct.
It's
something
something
good.
positive
Yeah,
and
because
Correct.
relatable.
everything around is
Mhm.
negative.
Yes.
Yeah,
So to have some positive and something that's going to help people, help
for
somebody
real.
else,
Mm-hmm.
it's real important.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. No,
That's,
we appreciate y'all.
yeah,
And I think I said
absolutely.
that. I mean, I think
Absolutely.
yeah, because you mentioned the January 1st thing, and so we did something in January. We got married on January the 1st,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
2022.
All
Okay.
right.
Right. So we started it this January, but every January on our anniversary moving forward,
Mhm.
we're doing what we call our anniversary retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
so we literally did a staycation, stayed downtown. Listen, I got all the sticky, all of that. Just and we
Yeah.
wrote out a financial career podcast.
mhm,
Hey, we want to have guests on the podcast
Yeah.
this season. We wrote all of that out. We had certain goals that we had, redoing our logo and
Mhm.
all of the things that we planned to do.
mhm.
And I think I'd reached out and said, "Hey, we want to get you and the husband." This is
Yeah.
Yes.
this is back in
Yes.
February, whenever it
Mhm,
was. It was
mhm.
early this year, and so again, just trying to plan out and just promoting the positive,
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
and
Right.
especially here in Houston,
Yeah.
Mhm.
positive couples that are doing positive things, and
Right.
just and even singles that want to know what it means to be in a healthy relationship.
Yes.
What
Correct.
does that look like? And
Right.
not all this other drama and all the other things that are going on. So definitely appreciate y'all being on the show.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Miss
So
Lene, it's
Yeah.
on you.
Okay. Okay. Um, so how do you guys handle, and we kind of, I
Touched
think,
on this
touched
earlier.
on this earlier,
Mhm.
when you have a conflict,
Yes.
and we did touch on it. I just want you guys to go in a little bit deeper. One of you guys don't have the capacity to really talk about this right now. How do you handle that? Do you shut down, or do just how do you handle that? Let you answer. My
You want me to go
apologies.
first?
you can go first.
Yes. Look, shut down. I yeah, it just
She
depends
learned
on
that
the
from me.
level. Well, I mean, when you're exposed to certain things growing up, you see things, and it just
Right.
becomes a part of you. And that's why therapy is so important to me.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
kind of unpacking the layers of that and trying to understand why I respond the way that I do to different things. And like as I said earlier, being under construction,
Mhm. And I love that.
Yeah.
because it's a fact, still learning, still growing and evolving. But yeah, I'm very I try really hard to I don't know. I mean, it just depends on the topic at the moment,
Okay.
Hmm.
how I respond.
Okay.
It really does. I mean, like I said, I'll separate myself or I don't. I'll just go in and there's no, we got to talk about this. And then he stops talking and wants to walk away. And that's a trigger for me. My
Okay.
dad did that a lot.
Hmm.
Like he just wouldn't
Mm.
respond, just would not. My mom would go in and she's probably gonna come in for saying this, but I'm gonna say it because it's my daddy. But he was not in here for it. They didn't like argue, but if she wanted to do something she was really passionate about, and he just wasn't in the mood,
Mhm.
he would literally just walk away. And so if he walks out,
Mhm.
that's a no
Mm.
go for me. Which then takes me to a tick tick boom,
Mm.
you know.
That's
Mhm.
yeah.
And then I have to remember this is my husband, but I'm not thinking about that at the moment. Like you,
Right.
I'm not liking you right now. I have
Yeah.
something I need to say. So yeah, so just taking myself out of the situation as well, giving him his space without chasing him through the house. You know what I mean? Because I've done that as well. I'm guilty.
But I love it. I love the truth.
You
I
know
love
what I
the
mean?
transparency.
I've chased him through, not literally run, but
No,
I mean,
I
I'm
get
like,
it.
no, we're gonna talk about this. No, where you going? We're gonna talk about, that. And we've never been physical with each other, like ever. Thank God, because he would probably kill me if he did that. You know what I mean?
Special forces.
So, you
Yeah,
know what I'm
special
saying?
services.
But
Yeah.
I'm thankful that we're not that couple. But
Yeah.
I've come to him on that level to the point where I could see if he. I mean, not saying I would understand, but you can only push somebody so long, right? And I've done that. I'm guilty of that. So for me, it's just a matter of just taking a moment, stopping what we're doing, separate myself, whether it's an argument over the phone, which we do have a lot of our major conversations over the phone because he travels a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's our time to just really get it out. And then it's like, and you can't hang up the phone anymore on nobody.
Yeah.
You got that hang up, that thing, you know what I mean? You can't do that anymore.
That doesn't work
It
anymore.
doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah.
It's not. So,
Oh my
so
God.
Yeah.
Then nobody hit that dial tone.
No.
Like, what?
No.
Somebody hung up on me?
You want that?
So I really like this because it gives a viewpoint of where people. There are a lot of people that operate just like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes we don't know. We want to get stuff off, but I want to make sure that people understand this. When you have a person like Chris, when wives have a spouse like Chris, and he's like, I don't want to talk about it. Sometimes it may just be that other partner doesn't have the capacity to even talk about it, and we don't think about that because it's like, no, I need to talk about it now, blah blah blah, and they're like, baby, I don't know how to tell you. My capacity is like
I'm depleted.
0.
Yeah.
I have nothing. I hear you, but I don't even have the strength to even talk about this right now because there's some other things that I don't want to talk to you about because husbands tend to shield their wives from things that are going on, and it's all this other stuff, struggles that they may have that they feel like they can't talk about at the moment. And then when we go in and we going in hot, and they like, man, look, and so but these are conversations that I really like. And this is why I love our podcast because it's about teaching people. Now we going through real life stuff. I don't know what y'all going through.
Right. Facts.
But this is the best way to resolve it.
Right.
Yeah.
And we want to use wisdom in that because this is the only we're not going nowhere.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody going nowhere. No time soon. Unless the Lord say. But other than that, who going somewhere?
Right.
When? Okay.
Exactly.
Let me not go in like that. But okay, baby. Go ahead, baby.
No, I was just thinking about one night we were having one of those conversations, and and then I was about to just leave. I'm in the house. I mean, I was just, I was supposed to go out with some homeboys anyway. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and move. You could have sworn like your soul just left your
He
body.
did. I fell on the floor. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, I just fell on the floor.
Like, what?
Because I was like, I'm not doing okay to keep. But okay. Because
Chris,
this
you
is
just
the
fall
truth.
out on the floor like what?
And I just fell down,
the hell?
Indian style, legs crossed, soul left my body. I'm like, you leaving, going where? Because this is the thing. I hadn't been abandoned by somebody just leaving, walking out of my life, but I had been abandoned by people being right in the presence of me and still abandoning me. So we were talking about something, and it felt like that.
Okay.
That's why you have to know what your triggers are. That's why people have to know what you've gone through when you were a child, because now in this relationship, if there's a trigger, you like, okay, I can see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what she said was real important also about having a therapist, individual therapist.
Yeah.
Not just having a couple therapist, but an individual therapist, because a lot of times people don't know their triggers.
Yeah.
They don't.
And until somebody brings it out, and then they say, "Oh man." But you have to know yourself before you can actually put your all into your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to know yourself.
Right.
Well, one thing my therapist said though is that your triggers are yours and only you can manage them. You
Mm-hmm.
can't expect anyone to pick up on your triggers.
Yeah.
Cannot.
That was like taking a bucket of ice water over the head because,
Yeah.
it's a treat me like you I want to be treated,
Yeah.
but
Right.
nobody has to do that.
They
Reciprocity
don't.
isn't required, and that's,
Yeah.
That's deep.
But that's good because we have a therapist that we see
mhm.
individually and together. And I say I want to do that for the rest of my life because there are blind spots that we have.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And even in relationships, and I think that this is, and I know we're kind of pivoting, but it's important. We are a team, and a house divided can't stand.
Mhm.
That's right.
So I don't want to be in this space where I don't want you to feel like you're unwanted.
Mhm.
That nobody wants to feel like that in a marriage.
Right.
Right.
And I'm kind of going off, but I'm gonna let my husband go back to what he's about to say. But therapy is so important because it creates a wholeness. I think also in the marriage because you individually, if you're fragmented,
Mhm.
then the relationship is fragmented.
Right.
Yeah.
And then as we begin whole, to be whole individually, then the marriage is whole.
That's right. That's right.
So
No, I was just gonna call out like one of the big sections is around trauma,
mhm.
right? Understanding childhood traumas and family dynamics. And did you feel safe? And just um, how did you feel growing up, right? Was anything a significant event that happened in your life that maybe you haven't shared with your partner that
Mhm.
they probably need to know? Maybe you're talking about it in therapy or counseling, just something that's deep, deep, deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for us, when we were out on the balcony, and this is the revelation that we got, like oftentimes we would end in the same place.
Yeah.
Well, she would end in the same
I would
place.
end in the same
The same
place.
place. And it was just, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I had to realize that this has nothing to do with me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The little whatever is going on, but this is much deeper than me.
Wow.
So I
Right.
couldn't take it personal. I couldn't internalize it because I also dealt with rejection just growing up. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So when I feel certain energy, then it elicits another response from me. And then it's like, well, again, I don't want to shut down. I don't want to be like, F it. No, stay in here. What's
Mm-hmm.
going on with you? And I'm asking questions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I would ask, but what happened? But no, what else happened? And we'd be on the balcony, she's teary
Yeah.
eyed and just,
Yeah.
but for the first time, somebody was asking her about what happened to her,
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody ever did.
Wow.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and I had to say, this ain't about me.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes I was hot, but I had to say, no, but this ain't about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So understanding, and this prompting journal is about, hey, let's get some questions. And then you go into a counseling or a therapist,
Mhm.
and at least you know where to start.
Mhm.
Sure.
Because sometimes you don't even know where to start. Before we got together, I was going to counseling,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I won't say failed marriage, but certainly first marriage, dating, engaged, didn't work. I'm like, yo, I need to go to counseling. What's
Yeah.
going
What's
on?
going on
Wow.
with me?
What's up?
Yeah.
And I had pains and things that I was hurt by, being in ministry and all of this type of stuff. And I said, you know what? I need to get right. So when we reconnected after about a decade, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to counseling, therapy.
Mm.
Love it.
Not for her. I didn't go for anybody. I went for me. It wasn't
You-
nobody told me. I wasn't going for past relationships, and I wasn't going because we had started dating. No, I'm going because I need to figure this out.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Can't do
Yeah.
life alone. That's for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Love
But
that.
you know what? So okay, cool. So we had an emotional moment right there. Um,
That was good.
so we got a few minutes left. So here are a few tips, right?
Mhm.
So we talk about creating safe spaces.
Mhm.
So number one, schedule safe space talks weekly. Now, because you travel, you got to use a phone, and since Jay schedules everything, boom, you got to schedule it. We'll say, hey, you know what? Hey, when I get home, can we have some balcony talk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
or we'll just check in.
Yeah.
So where we at? How we doing?
Yeah.
Well, mostly she be asking us.
Mhm.
I'll just be ready. She needs to know.
Yeah.
Use the phrase "help me understand" instead of "you always."
Right.
Yeah.
So help me
Yeah, that's
understand
good
why
one.
you feel, because she would do this to
You
me. Well,
always.
help me understand, why does that trigger you? Why do you feel that way? And I'd be like, because.
Period.
See,
But
that's me. You
it forces you to
always.
think about it. Right?
Yeah.
Don't use it "you always" or "you never."
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Don't do
Right.
that.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and end arguments with reassurance is like, you know what? We gonna get through this.
Right.
I ain't really feeling you right now, but we gonna work this out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But we getting through it. Ain't nobody going on.
Yeah.
Let's go sit down.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
what you want to eat?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Right.
So anyway, we're going. I just want to say, go ahead, baby.
So, what's one thing you guys have learned from each other as you've navigated through conflict or conflict?
I would say respect.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, big time. You know, we respect the heck out of each other.
Yeah.
You know, to where we're never. I know from me, we're never in fear of anything happening to our relationship after a confrontation.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
we respect each other that much.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
we love each other that much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's what I would say. What would
Yeah.
you say?
No, I agree 100% with that. I'm
Okay.
gonna leave it there because it's just true.
Mm-hmm.
The
Okay.
respect is definitely there. The love is truly there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree.
And I respect that you guys respect that when we have something going on, because somewhere you anchored, ain't nobody going anywhere. Because that's what I hear.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
No,
I
it's
hear.
very clearly. It's very clear.
Oh yeah.
That's so clear. It's very
So
clear.
it's like the mob. There's only one way out.
Oh,
Yeah, it's only
that's it.
Yeah.
blood in, blood out.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
But if you're not committed like that, then what you doing?
What are you
Yeah.
doing?
exactly.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So here's another thing. A couple of thoughts here. Healthy couples don't avoid conflict; they grow through it.
Yeah.
That's what healthy couples do.
Mm-hmm.
Toxic
They grow
couples,
through it.
they ain't growing through none because you're repeating the same thing over and over again.
Right.
Oh, well, um, but we're trying to grow through conflict.
Yeah.
Yes.
We engage. Don't be afraid of conflict. It is what it is. Let's talk about it. Hey, we standing flat footed. I'm gonna hear you. If we need to pull out the timer,
Yeah.
because there's sometimes we gotta
We
go
have a
back to
little
our,
hourglass too.
yeah, we
That's
got a
what
little
I'm saying.
hourglass. It's 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a funny story about that is that I was on the balcony, and I'm like, 'cause my baby will switch, and it would be a marathon of topics, and I'm like, baby, I can't.
I know how to drive a shift. So what is it? A stick? A
Stick
stick
shift,
shift?
going
Yeah, I
from
know
gear
how
to
to.
gear.
I know how
I know, like,
to.
oh, baby, let's go back to the original
Yeah.
thing, because I don't remember. I can't remember all the stuff you're saying. So that's
Man,
why we got the
that
timer.
is me. That's
What?
that's y'all too. That's
Yeah, that's
that's us.
It is.
I'll be
Chris.
like, I don't
Chris, look, check this out.
What?
And then when she's going on, and and I'm sitting there listening, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
You've been listening for 15,
For
20
15 minutes.
minutes.
If I don't have the little time, I'll get my phone, and then I'll put the time on, and then she's like, oh, and then she just lose train of thought. You
Because it
just
makes me get to the meat of
get
what
to the
I'm
meat of
saying.
what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Because that's what the timer does. And if anything that I would love, and I know we're done now, but if it's anything that I would want couples to know, sitting down and being heard by the other party, not because it's time on, like Chris said, well, let me hurry. I'm looking at this timer because I need you to hurry up and stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody wants to be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you need to really, in all you're getting, get an understanding of how they're feeling and what they're saying. Because until you do that, the relationship will still be stagnant. It'll be fractured. It'll be all those things. It won't be healthy.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
I'm saying one last thing. Disagreements don't destroy relationships. Is what y'all just said. Disrespect does.
That's right.
That is the one thing that will destroy a relationship.
Mhm.
Just disrespect.
Absolutely.
And so, um, We appreciate y'all being. Did y'all have any question for us? Because we just talking, asking questions. What? Just
I mean, no. I mean, you guys already answered all the questions I had,
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
really? Okay.
I didn't know.
And
I
I
knew
mean,
that y'all were pretty much newlyweds, but I
Yeah.
love the way you move because you move like a couple that's been established. I mean, and my thing is if you're doing what you're doing now, doing all the work now, when you get to 19 years of marriage and and
Mm,
on and on and on, you're already set. You know what I mean?
right.
It's when you first get married and you don't, you're in the honeymoon phase and you just kind of flying by the seat of your pants, but you guys are doing the work early, and I think that's
yeah,
huge.
big
Thank
time.
you.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, so I
Thank
applaud
you.
you for that.
Definitely have to be a continuation.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah,
We
Yeah.
gotta
absolutely.
come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No.
We're
Yeah.
ready.
We
Yeah.
we
We're
talked
ready.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So listen, I'll say this, right? This is for everyone listening. If you're in a relationship and trying to love deep while fighting fair, drop us a comment,
Yeah.
email us your story, and don't forget to follow and subscribe, and also pick up that journal, that Love and Truth journal, to help you prompt these conversations.
Yeah.
Until next time,
Peace.
peace.